Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Tiffany Benson, one part of Team Benson, and today we are going to harvest a lot of stuff and preserve some things, eat some things, and prune some things, and also give the worms a couple of things too as well. So I just want to say another big welcome to all of our new subscribers. We are starting to get a lot of subscribers every day. So I'm getting really excited about that. For you guys that don't know, I am doing a giveaway once we hit 2,000 subscribers. And then again, once we hit 2.5K subscribers. So my 2,000 subscriber giveaway is going to be a cool seeds giveaway, and I'm going to pick 2 winners, and they're going to be different seeds that I deem pretty cool. So I'm going to be doing that in probably about another 100 subscribers, because we're getting really close to the first 2K. So make sure you guys hit the subscribe button, and then also give me a like if you like this video. I mean, if you don't like it, I get it. But I'm gonna go through and I'm going to start harvesting a couple things out of my garden. Now, the rains were insane and crazy, and it made everything grow like crazy. But one of the things I need to start doing is maintaining the health of my garden by not letting it look like that, where it's just completely overgrown and not everything that I have packed in there is going to get an equal amount of light. So how I go about doing that and being able to grow such a large amount in a small space is I keep everything nice and trim to where everything is getting an equal amount of light. I'm using the things as they grow so nothing gets crazy overgrown in my garden, and I decrease the bug pressure too as well by keeping all the bad leaves that are starting to die off the plant. So I'll be going around with a couple of buckets. I will have a bucket that we're going to use, a bucket for the worms, and then a bucket for collecting Malabar spinach seeds, because I do need to do that. One of the things you guys are going to see with me collecting greens is that a lot of green leaves are edible. So I'm going to collect the green leaves, and then I'm going to dehydrate them and make my own green powder. Now, green powder is something that is quite expensive if you go to an organic grocery store and buy them. It's something that I don't know why it's that expensive, because green powder you can easily just make by yourself by just dehydrating it. And if you have a family that doesn't like to just eat green leafy vegetables, like Mr. Benson's cool with some things, but having it in every meal, he's not okay with. So I'm able to hide a lot more green leafy vegetables in our diet by putting it in fruit smoothies, which always tastes amazing, or also spaghetti sauce, which if you put a couple teaspoons of dried broccoli leaves, nobody's going to tell the difference, because it's just going to taste like spaghetti sauce with amazingness. So it's a good way you can hide some things. So I'm going to go through the garden and just kind of show you guys the leaves that I'm going to be collecting, and then the difference between the leaves I collect for myself to dry and then also the ones I collect for the worm bin, because luckily I grow enough to be able to feed my worms too as well. Alright guys, we're actually going to start with the broccoli. So I'm going to grab just 2 little buckets over here. Sorry, my neighbors are really loud. And I'm going to have a keep pile and a worm pile, because if you guys didn't know, broccoli leaves are edible, and luckily they taste like broccoli. So if you are adding them to things, it's not like some weird taste, because it tastes like broccoli, and broccoli is delicious, especially homegrown broccoli. So what I want to do is I really want to focus on cleaning up all around the bases of this so that I can add or get more light to this bed. And I'm going to do it on this side, and then I'm also going to do it on this side. I'm going to trim this big giant tomato bush too as well. I'll show you guys what I'm doing with it, but I won't trim it on camera. That way it doesn't take, this isn't a video that takes forever. But I need to get more light to this bed so that everything is growing a lot healthier. Also, if you guys notice, there is a lot of hail damage on a lot of my leaves. And if I don't get these leaves early, then they're going to become infested by bugs. And like if you look at this bottom one right here, if I flip it over, it has a lot of white flies on it. So this one is going to go to the worm bin. This one I can save, because it's not infested yet, so I can save this one and dry it. So I'm going to go through and collect these leaves. Okay, so this looks a lot better. Now I can have the broccoli get enough light, the snow peas get enough light, and also the cilantro that's reaching out and trying to find light get enough light. Now, one of the things I want to show you guys is that on here, these little knobs are actually little broccoli heads that are forming. So once I pull this big broccoli head right here, these little knobs are going to come off as offshoots. So I want to, when I'm cutting the plant, make sure I don't damage these. So I just cut a little bit ahead of them, and then that way those are not damaged, and you'll see those on all of the broccoli plants. It's kind of like if you grow a Brussels sprout. How a Brussels sprout forms like little baby Brussels sprouts in like the little armpits of everything. Same thing with the broccoli, except for you'll get a big giant head and then you'll get little shoots that come off of it. So make sure that when you are harvesting your broccoli, you don't actually pull the plant, because you'll grow more leaves and you'll also get more shoots. So that'll give you more food all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this entire bed and make it look all pretty, and then I'll give you guys a big wide angle of the after. So just a little side note, I'm going to go ahead and trim this giant tomato plant. Now the tomato leaves are stems and leaves and branches I'm not going to save, because they will grow another tomato bush essentially. So what I'm looking for are ones that don't have any type of fruit or flowers or anything like that on them, and then also just suckers. So suckers are ones like this that are essentially growing between the main stalk and the, I'm trying to see if you can see it better, probably right here, the main stalk and the actual fruiting leaf. So this sucker you can actually plant and create a whole new vining bush, but I'm going to go ahead and trim up this plant, and I have enough tomato plants so I don't need more of them, but if you wanted to, you could. Don't put these in your composting bin either, because once again they'll take root. Alright guys, so there's some angry birds that you might hear in the background, but this is what it looks like. Now I kept a lot of the foliage on the top of the tomato plant, but the bottom part I really did make sure I cleaned it up. And then the same thing with the broccoli, I took all the bottom leaves off. Now this might seem like extreme pruning, but this is what keeps a garden healthy. So normally I wouldn't have let my tomato plant get that wild and unhealthy, because it is not actually healthy for your plants to be just bogged down with leaves. One of the reasons why they put out signals to bring pests in is so they can kind of take that bottom layer of leaves that are infected or just not doing so well, or preventing the plant from being healthy. They want to take that off. So if you go through and you prune your plants and you keep them nice and healthy where there's good airflow, that tomato plant had no airflow. You know, the broccoli plants had no airflow. And if you keep that airflow good, keep the moisture from kind of just settling on the leaves and creating any funguses or anything like that, or tomatoes suffer from blight. You don't want to have blight in your garden. So if you kind of keep control of your of how your leaves are and kind of like pruning it down, then you'll find that you have a lot less bug pressure. Everybody always asks me how I have a garden without any bugs. Well, this is it. I do get some bugs, but I don't get as many as a lot of other people, because one, I'm using my garden as much as possible because we have a small space garden, so we eat from it because we want to lower that grocery bill, and two, I want to keep it healthy. So this is how you do it. So another thing that I'm targeting in my garden are these little black berries. Now, these are going to make my fingers red if I grab them and smush them, but these are actually the seeds of the Malabar spinach plant. So I'm going to start collecting these, one, because I don't want them to fall everywhere. So as soon as I start seeing them go black like that, but you guys can see a little bit better, then I want to start collecting them, because otherwise I'll have Malabar spinach growing out my ears, and I want to keep it to just growing one at a time. And I want to save all of these seeds. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to collect just all of these seeds, all of the black ones off of the Malabar spinach. I am going to leave these ones because these ones aren't ready yet. Alright guys, so far I have, oh, I just dropped some berries. That's gonna be bad. I just have a nice little pile of Malabar spinach berries, and then I'm starting to have a nice little pile of greens. The broccoli greens were a little bit more tore up than I was hoping for, or I wanted them to be, so I'm gonna go ahead and just use these to dry. I am gonna get some collards and some, I'll see what else is up there, and some cabbage probably, and dry those leaves too. But the Malabar spinach, just to let you guys know, your hands can look like this. This is a combination of tomato hands and Malabar spinach hands, where they can use as a natural dye, which is kind of cool. Or you can just let them dry out on the counter as the whole berry, or you can squish them, use like the juice as a dye, and then have the actual seed. So you can do either or. I don't want everything to be dyed this color, so I'm just going to leave them out on a paper plate and let them dry naturally. You can let them dry on the vine, but you do run the risk of them dropping everywhere. And for me, having such a small space garden that's tightly grown, the last thing I need are volunteers everywhere. Don't want that. I did it with the nasturtium plant once, where I was just like, oh, there's just seeds falling, it's fine. I'm still finding nasturtiums, and I know this spring they're going to be coming out of places that I didn't even know that the seed got there. So the next thing I'm going to do is get some of this dill plant, because this dill plant is getting wild and crazy, and I have taken out some butter so that I can make some more dill butter, because I did run out of that. Okay, so the bees are loving the dragon tail radish bush, so I'm gonna try and just get over here really quick and not really disturb them. So I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna try and get some of the outer edges of this dill and leave the main center stalk. My dill, I want to make sure that it's staying healthy, and it does have a little bit of damage from the hail, so I don't want that to affect the dill plant and the overall health of the plant. Plus, this area is just getting a little bushy, and eventually I'm going to be planting my midget cantaloupe in here, and I want to make sure it has enough light. So I'm going to go through and grab this now. Oh my god, the bees are getting ticked at me for being in their area, but I want to show you guys this because my dill plants, I don't know if you guys can see those are aphids. I'm trying to get it to focus at the very top. I'm trying to do it like this. You guys can see those little things at the very top, those are aphids. Now, my dill plant is the one herb that will get aphids because it's the herb that I don't use as much. So I've never seen aphids on any of my other plants, but that's because or any of my other herbs, but that's because I'm constantly using them. So I think that this should show you guys a lot that the more you use your plants, the healthier you can keep them. When they're bushing out like this, like I said, the plant's going to do things to make it kind of die back so that it can get the healthier leaves out there, so it had the better chance of survival to get its seeds out. So make sure you're pruning those plants, because keeping them pruned can really, really keep those bugs out of your plants. Alright guys, whenever I make a video about pruning, I have to force myself not to prune everything and make the video like 20 minutes long. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some cabbage leaves. As you can see, look at all that dill, guys. Dill is something that you really only need one plant of. Why I have 4 of them, I do not know. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab some cabbage leaves, and I'm also going to grab some bok choy actually for dinner, and then I'm going to grab some collard greens, and these are going to be the ones that I'm going to dry for my green powder. Just to show you guys, I do have my row cover up now, just because it's protecting everything. Now I am going to be moving these spinach plants over to this side because spinach doesn't like as much direct sunlight, and so I think that a better chance of getting these cabbages to head up, maybe to move them by the tree and move the lettuce and the spinach over here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to get the bottom layer of these cabbage leaves. Some of the really bad ones, these are collards, but some of the ones that are like this, I'm just going to go ahead and get that to the worms. But these bottom leaves, I'm going to go ahead and grab so that I can use them for my green powder. Alright guys, so this is what it looks like. I took a bunch of greens off. I took some cabbage. I took a lot of cabbage leaves. I left the kale because I'm going to save that for a dish. The Swiss chard, actually took a couple leaves of Swiss chard too as well. I left the lettuce because that's going to be Taco Tuesday, and left the spinach because that's also going to be a dinner this week too as well. And then since we have a billion shishito peppers, I'm actually going to harvest shishito peppers instead of the bok choy, and I'll save the bok choy for dinner. Nice part about having your own garden is that you get to harvest things as you need them. I don't need the bok choy until tomorrow, so I'm just gonna leave it, let it sit until tomorrow, but get all these shishito peppers. Alright guys, excuse the mess behind me. I am putting away all of the winter cloth since it's gonna get a lot warmer here, and we don't need it. But one thing I am disappointed in myself is that this is how many leaves I have for the worms. Now this should be a lot more leaves for myself to make green drinks out of, but I didn't prune my plants early enough, so they're covered with a lot of aphids. Now I did get a decent amount of like different types of leaves, so I do have enough to start like a good green drink or green powder. And it's something that if you are harvesting your leaves over time, like every couple of days, come out, grab those outer leaves, because something's going to eat them. Whether they're you or whether they're the bugs, something's going to eat them. And it always bothers me when I see, like in grocery stores, when they're just tearing off a bunch of leaves, or like somebody shows a picture of this giant cabbage and then they only use the head and then they waste the rest of it. Being a person that doesn't like to waste food, I'm like, why did you not get those earlier? Like, your cabbage will still head up and it will still grow a nice size, but all of those cabbage leaves, every single round of cabbage leaf is edible. So don't waste your food, guys. Something is going on with my shishito plants. Now it is starting to get aphids and it has stopped flowering. Now, most people would think, okay, it's time for the shishitos to be done and it's time to tear them up, but that is not the case. What it actually means is that it's time for me to let the shishitos on there. There's a couple that are still coming in, and so I'm gonna let those come in, but what I am gonna do is get in and prune my shishito plants. It is time for my shishito plants to take a break, so I'm gonna prune them back. I'm going to put down some compost in their pots and some more potting soil in their pots, and then I'm going to give them a break. So then probably about, I'd say like April, May-ish, they're going to flower again and start producing a lot more shishito peppers, if not sooner. So remember, your pepper plants, you don't need to take them out. You don't need to just hack them off. They're not dead. They just need to be pruned, and they need to have that time to kind of reboot, because pepper plants, in most cases, I won't say in all zones, but most cases they can, you know, keep going. Like these are 2-year-old pepper plants right now. But I'm going to show you guys a picture at the end, but I'm going to go inside and start processing some of these different things. Stay tuned to my channel. There's going to be a ton more videos of me processing things. I have bags of lemons, guys, that I'm going to show you guys a lacto fermentation for them, because my friends let me rate their lemon tree. So that's going to be next up on my list to do. But until next time, make sure you guys are growing yourselves a garden, because even a small space can provide you with tons of food. Bye, guys.